welcome to Ice Age TV. And today's the big Indian day where I'm hooking up my truck and trailer here. And this truck sits so freaking high. I barely even got the hitch on, but got the hitch on here, and we're gonna take a ride to Pennsylvania to go pick up a nice leftover Indian 19 Chieftain Classic. So follow along as we take the adventure. All right, we're ready to go. There's Ice Girl. All right, we are on the road. Look at that, 2 hours, 42 minutes to Center Hall, PA. And driving the Tremor, which I haven't driven that thing in probably a month at least. She's gonna have 6,000 miles on her. Pulling my nice motorcycle trailer, and I mean, this thing doesn't even feel that back there. Famous last words, right? But no, it's all good. You know, I get to thinking when I do buying my cars and motorcycles, and if you personally knew me, you'd kind of get a little bit more of that, of how I've bought a lot of cars and motorcycles, and you know, sometimes you think you can sneak out of the house if you're a married guy and kind of go out and buy something, and maybe the wife won't notice, and yeah, I've done that a few times, and usually it comes back to bite you in the ass every time you do that. I mean, I could tell you some stories that are classic of me thinking I can switch a vehicle that's the same color, and it's just a little different to the same vehicle, but a little newer model with some upgrades in it. And years ago I did that, and oh my gosh, it was like out of the movies, where I went to the car dealership, and it's all said and done. The wife figured it out because the salesman called my house after I told him not to call my house to ask me how my brand new Ram 3500 1998 model, this is back in 1998, you know, I told the guy, do not, this is back, you know, prior to the huge cell phone age where they would call your house landline. So, you know, it was classic. I went out, traded in my white used 1997 Ram 3500 Sport, and it was a heck of a project to get the whole trade done. And so I got it all done, and young guy, sales guy, real green and all. And I told the young kid, you know, when I was shaking his hand to leave the dealership, which is about an hour from our house, he said, look, don't call my house, because my wife will never figure out that I've just traded trucks, because they're the same color and they look the same. And she just, you know, I just swapped trucks. And so sure enough, he's like, yeah, sure, okay. So this happens like on a Thursday. So now it's like a Sunday, and I didn't have the shop that I have today back in 1998. I just was working out a shed on my property. That barn wasn't restored. And sure enough, my wife is way over at the house, and she's yelling across the way to me out in the shed working on my whatever. And she's saying, hey, there's some guy on the phone that's wanting to ask you how your new truck is. What new truck? I'm like, oh my God. And she's just standing there with her hands on her hips, just shaking her head like, what? You know, so I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, so the reason I'm bringing this all up is here I am today going to get an Indian motorcycle that I found on the internet that's a leftover, and the place is basically close to 3 hours away. So there's like no way I'm gonna roll up the road like I could my local dealership and get a different bike. And we can kind of just talk about that on another day, if you kind of know what I mean. So I've had to tell the wife, you know, today that, hey, I'm gonna get another motorcycle. And then instant is, well, how many motorcycles do you have? And then my response kind of was like, I don't know, I think I got like 5 or 6, but I used to have 8. My wife's like, you had 8 motorcycles, street motor? I'm like, yeah, I had 8 motorcycles, but I sold a few of them. So now, you know, I mean, come on. And I told her I am trying to sell one of them, but I'm waiting for this spring months to get some money out of it. So now my wife's just like shaking her head. No, yeah, I get it. I understand all that, but here's the thing. I just figured, why beat around the bush? Because when you don't tell the wife, I mean, you guys know if you're married, it comes back to bite you in the ass every single time. So there's the story for the morning on our road trip, and we got 2 hours and 34 minutes left. Roads are quiet for the most part, but there always are up here in this Maryland going into. Gotta get gas. Let's check out this place here up here in the Pennsylvania neighborhood and territory. All right, giving her some fuel. Now, from where I live, I can getting close up here to the Harrisburg, York area. Up here in Pennsylvania. It's interesting if you travel, and I'm sure many do. It's just kind of a whole different type of world. You just go from one state to another. All right, so now the trick is, what's the best way to get in here with my trailer?
Not this way, because you're gonna get stuck.
You think?
Go to the next one.
Okay, the
They have
doors.
slingshot.
Ooh, uh-oh, that's... All right, now here's the challenge. So here's the bike I came to get today. This is a 2019 Indian Chieftain Classic. And it's nice. Probably should hear it start up. But the dilemma now is the original bike that drew me to his dealership is way back there. That now I'm like, oh gosh, maybe I should get that one. Let's go look at that one. Uh-oh, see here? So this is the bike that drew me to this dealership way away from my home. And now that I'm here in person looking at it, oh great. I'm thinking I want to get this one instead. So, decisions. Yikes. All right, so hard decisions, right? I've been talking about that, and if you look here, this is the 19 Chieftain, and this is the 20 Chieftain. The big difference is they call this the Classic, and this is called more of like the Limited. It's the Icon series. And so if you kind of step back and look here, you're going to see the saddlebags, whole different style. Okay, kind of look here, it tilts forward and all. But if you see how it's kind of designed, then you look at this here. You see how this is designed. You know, same concept. They're both open towards you, but just a whole different style. And then if you look at the seats, this is more retro, more of the Indian Classic look. Okay, versus here. Now, if you kind of come around to the front of it, you're going to see how the fairings are radically different. So this is really the true Indian heritage look, which is really nice. Versus this here is the Harley-Davidson copycat, is what they call it. This is the Batwing look. So that in itself, amongst the bikes, I mean, there really are two different looking motorcycles. This definitely has more of the Harley tradition, which that's kind of where it came from, versus this is truly the Indian look. So then, if you come up to technology, you've got a whole different ride command system that's outdated now. It looks the same as over here, but it's not the latest ride command, which just has home link capability and some other features that doesn't have. And also, if you look at the motor, you got a 116 cubic inch V-twin air-cooled motor. Versus over here, you have the traditional 111, which you can't see the 111 because they put a, well, you did. Actually, the air cleaner is a 111. So wow, talk about a really just cool adventure here today. This is really cool because that's the bike I really wanted. Now the real question is, they're telling me I got to pay extra for the sissy bar, and if it's not too much, then I'll do it. If it's too crazy, then I'll have to pass on that. But I told the salesman, like, what are you gonna do with this now? I mean, what's that gonna look good on? Well, guess what? Goodness gracious. So here it is. Here is the one that I drove here to get, which is really, really nice. That hot diggity dog. That's the one. Wow, I'm here getting my new Indian. Yikes. I'm blown away. This deal came together. So this is really exciting for me, being an Indian guy, and for any Indian lovers or bike guys like me, you will not be disappointed. And I know this is kind of not the dime a dozen bike, but it is really sweet. So I'm going to get it all wrapped down, I should say, strapped down, and we'll share more later. Yikes. Okay. And now we're going to strap her down. And that's always the tricky part, is boy, if you don't strap these things down, you end up scratching the paint, you know, you just end up doing damage to your nice bike. And if you don't do it right, then by the time you get home, you have a brand new bike laying on its side in your trailer. And that'll be a lot of heartbreak and a lot of money. You gotta watch this side down here so you don't mess with the sidewall. That's important. Okay. Wow, what a day, and the day ain't over yet. We've got about another 2.5 hours of driving, and you could have never told me this morning when I left that I'd be coming back with a different bike that I actually drove up here to get, and the deal that I was able to negotiate, which is pretty amazing. Actually a pretty exciting day. Just you never know what lies ahead in a day. That's the about life. Be careful. We all kind of come to closure. We kind of know how things play out, and you don't always know that. Sometimes good or bad. So, good day so far, and we'll kind of wrap it up when we get back in. And hope you're enjoying the video on the Indian day of buying an Indian motorcycle. Okay, we're back the same place that we left this morning. Filling up again. How about that? We went up to get the bike and filled up, and coming back home. Still about an hour out, but here the biggest concern now is when you open this door, is the bike still standing? Which, yikes. It's always the fear factor, right? And she is. Let's see how this is. See that? That's good. Well, long day here. If you look at this, 12 miles per gallon, I'm pretty impressed. And with the motorcycle and the trailer, I would say we got 4,000 pounds back there, and this thing actually rides a lot nicer with a little bit of weight back there. So not bad at all. This Tremor's a really fun truck.